Milo, qui a autorisé la participation d'Omicron 267 à cette mission?
Participation d'Omicron 267 autorisée par Hansen Elisabeth, docteur.
Bah ouais.
Hey everyone, this is Maggie, and today we're gonna break down and explain Oxygen ending. We will be talking about this movie in depth, so beware of big spoilers flying your way. Oxygen is a French-American collaborative sci-fi movie. Directed by Alexandre Aja, this single-location movie's protagonist and only active character, Elizabeth, wakes up to find herself locked in a cryogenic sleep pod. With no memory of how she got there, and her oxygen supply slowly running out, Elizabeth's only option is to dig within her own mind for answers before her fate is sealed. The claustrophobic movie effortlessly shifts scale from cramped to cosmic, taking viewers on a breathless journey that slowly uncovers the protagonist's past and the reason behind her being trapped in the pod. If the ending of Oxygen has left you with questions, worry not. We come bearing answers.
Moniteur d'activité cérébrale connecté. Niveau d'oxygène 1%.
As Elizabeth looks out at the cosmic landscape in front of her, that has so far been obscured from view by her pod's UV filter, Milo informs her that she is in one of 10,000 pods carrying bioforms. The ship carrying them to repopulate a distant planet has been in an incident in the early stages of the mission and has collided with an asteroid. Milo also informs her that out of the 10,000 pods, 9,568 of them are still functional, but that she is the only one awake.
Température corporelle 37,1 degrés Celsius.
Pardon Milo, hein, je t'ai frappé.
Excuse acceptée.
Realizing that Leo might be in the other pods, Elizabeth scans through them until she finds him. However, seeing that he is missing a scar on his face that she has always known him to have, it slowly dawns on Elizabeth that he and she are clones. With her oxygen under the crucial 2% mark, she almost gives up hope but is suddenly struck with the idea of using the oxygen from the other pods around her. Milo informs her that it will take considerable time to transfer the oxygen into her pod and put her into cryogenic sleep.
Et les autres?
Ont expiré durant la collision avec l'astéroïde X375.
In the closing scenes of Oxygen, we see Elizabeth and Leo reunite on a distant planet, having successfully made it there alive. The bombshell revelation that the protagonist is a clone answers some crucial questions but raises others. We now know that she is a clone of a younger version of Elizabeth, whilst the real, much older Elizabeth is briefly seen at a scientific conference. To avoid confusion, we will henceforth prefix real or clone before a character's name to specify their origin. Once we realize that the Elizabeth we see in the pod is a clone, it explains why Leo, who is in an adjoining pod, has seemingly healed scars on his face. He is also a clone. Hence, the Leo and Elizabeth that we see in space are both clones, whereas the older Elizabeth we see on Earth, as well as the Leo suffering from the virus, are both real.
Toi dans une boîte.
Clone Elizabeth realizes that she is not real after she sees a perfectly healthy-looking Leo cryogenically frozen in one of the pods. Earlier seen to be dying of a virus that is inflicting humanity and threatening to end it in 2 generations, the appearance of clone Leo reconciles the confusion as to whether Leo is actually alive or dead. From multiple clues during the film, including seeing Leo severely ill and Elizabeth's mother mentioning that she lives alone, we can infer that real Leo is dead.
J'étais dans l'armée, Lise. J'ai passé 3 mois dans un trou sous terre. J'ai déjà été dans votre situation, je sais ce que vous vivez. Je suis
Milo
avec...
raccroche.
Non.
Milo raccroche.
Attendez.
Déconnexion.
However, according to the status given by Milo, clone Leo is perfectly healthy in his pod. Hence, it is clone Leo that we see at the end of the film, whilst real Leo is already dead. Before his death, Leo seemingly played an important role in the space mission, as he's seen designing the pod's re-entry and landing systems. He is also seen in high-ranking military garb, meaning that apart from being married, he and Elizabeth were also colleagues. The entire project itself seems to be Elizabeth and Leo's brainchild, with both of them occasionally seen as key architects of the mission. Real Elizabeth was possibly motivated by wanting to be reunited with Leo, and living in a utopia with him, even if it wasn't actually them, but their clones. As we see at the end of Oxygen, clone Elizabeth is united with clone Leo, while their real versions undergo a much darker fate.
Oui. Vous vous souvenez?
Pourquoi l'armée?
L'humanité va s'éteindre dans 2 générations. Impossible de rendre ça public.
We see real Elizabeth, who is much older than her clone, briefly at a scientific conference talking about her breakthrough with memory transfer. It is later revealed that the mysterious woman who calls clone Elizabeth and tells her about the space mission is real Elizabeth. This is why the lady on the phone knows clone Elizabeth's name, as well as the working details of the pod that she is in.
Et notre rat, bien que n'ayant jamais exploré ce labyrinthe, on connaît déjà la sortie.
Just before she gets cut off, we hear men in the background threatening real Elizabeth and telling her to get down on the ground. The men sound like authorities, hinting at the fact that the mission itself is a clandestine and illegal one. Soon after hearing the voices, the line is cut, and we don't hear from real Elizabeth again. From what we can gather, it seems like the virus sweeping Earth is most likely going to end humanity. This is mentioned by real Elizabeth in passing when she says that humanity has only 2 generations left to survive.
Allô?
Immédiatement!
Allô?
Trouvez ce qui déclenche vos souvenirs.
Allongez-vous à terre!
2%, trouvez Léo, Lise. Trouvez Léo.
However, to avoid panic amongst the general public, only senior officials in the armed forces and possibly the government and scientific communities know about it. What remains a mystery is who is behind the daring mission to transplant humanity to another planet. Seeing as both Elizabeth and Leo are depicted working on the mission, and Leo is seen designing parts of the pod in their home, the mission is likely not an authorized one, but one organized by a faction to give humanity some hope of survival.
Léo était réel. Et il est mort.
Oui.
This would explain why, upon the discovery of their mission, real Elizabeth is apprehended by the authorities. Another possibility is that the mission is an authorized one, and real Elizabeth is apprehended for telling clone Elizabeth the truth about her mission instead of letting her suffocate and die, which is what the man posing to be the police captain attempts to do earlier. Real Elizabeth is in deep trouble for having committed a supposedly criminal or unethical act. The fact that humanity is having to be transplanted also presents a bleak picture of the situation on Earth. In Clone Elizabeth's flashbacks, we see the destructive effects of the virus on Leo and others. Since the flashbacks are memories belonging to real Elizabeth, who is much older now, they depict a time many years in the past. This means most likely the situation has deteriorated much more since then, and the state of humanity on Earth is dire.
Transfert de contrôle administrateur achevé. Privilège d'administrateur accordé.
Milo. Déverrouillage.
Once we learn that Elizabeth is a clone, it is interesting to regard her as a separate character and not the same as real Elizabeth. Clone Elizabeth's macabre flashbacks and hallucinations of suffering and mutilated lab mice show a contrast between the real person and the clone. Whereas real Elizabeth is seen confidently performing experiments on the mice, her clone seems to have a fear of them, which is probably the result of deep-seated guilt for hurting the creatures that has been transferred from real to clone Elizabeth.
Milo, identification du patient.
Identité du patient. Omicron 267.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notifications about our latest videos. However, it is clone Elizabeth's age that is most interesting, as we find out near the end of the movie that she is only 102 minutes old. Having been asleep for 12 years, clone Elizabeth wakes up for the first time in the cryogenic pod. We essentially see her birth in the opening scenes of the movie, and subsequently, 102 minutes into her ordeal, she confirms with Milo that her age is in fact 102 minutes. Oxygen steps away from similar sci-fi movies by having a decidedly happy ending. Clone Elizabeth is seen united with clone Leo, something that she desperately tries to achieve in the later half of the film and almost gives up. The two are seen together on the distant planet Wolf 1061c, healthy and very much in love. Their real counterparts on Earth aren't as lucky. With real Leo most likely dying from the virus, there's a small chance that real Leo is cryogenically frozen, and real Elizabeth apprehended for doing something illegal or unethical.
PEC administré. Rythme cardiaque élevé. Aimeriez-vous un sédatif?
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure to give the video a like and subscribe with that bell on to get notified as soon as one of our videos comes out.